Good morning. Are you constantly ridiculed by other Japanese maple collectors? Do you get tired of other Japanese maple collectors laughing in your face and shaming you for the lack of sophistication in your collection? Today's video can help. We can get you to have the ultimate Japanese maple collection. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 Japanese maples to elevate your Japanese maple collection.
Now, to be clear here, I don't think there's many people actually out there making fun of other people.
No, they are. They'll laugh in your face. The feeling of inadequacy is real. You're going to need these trees.
Y'all, we're MrMaple.com. Make sure you subscribe here on the Mr. Maple Show. We've got daily content all about Japanese maples. And on today's top 5, we're bringing you the top 5 Japanese maples that will elevate your garden. Y'all, I'm Tim Nichols. That's my brother, Matt Nichols. We're both former presidents of Maple Society. We've got one of the largest collections, the largest collection of Japanese maples in the United States, here in Western North Carolina. When it comes to Japanese maples, that's our thing. So we're here to tell you the top 5 Japanese maples that are going to elevate your garden.
Hey, you might think you're owning it. You might think you're killing it. And secretly, your friends group, they're like, Psh, they ain't got it. They ain't got it. This is a help. This is a public service announcement to show you 5 new maples that can really elevate your maple game.
So if you don't got these, you probably need them. There's some awesome selections. These are a little bit newer, and they add a lot to your garden and your collection because they are really special.
All right, coming in here at number 5, we've got Acer palmatum Kuro-hime.
Oh, man, that one's dope. Kuro-hime has that compact form. It's got an upright habit at first, and it gets a little bit wider with time. In the springtime, though, it can give you a pink kind of purple color that just shines in the spring garden. This
one looks great in Macabre gardens. It looks great in so many gardens. I feel like it sometimes gets overlooked by collectors. Like, it's so next level. It's one of those trees that brings pink. You get that kind of ethereal bluish green older growth on this with that crazy pink new growth midsummer. It's kind of a darker green, really, is the best way to describe it. That new growth being pink, though, is so next level, I think, in the spring months. And it really kind of gives you a bouquet-like effect with that one, especially in the summer. Very colorful, very nice compact tree too. Typically at only like 5 foot and 10 years, it's a nice smaller tree that fits in a lot of easy spaces, and it can really elevate your garden up a bit. I think this one, especially in conifer gardens or amongst other more basic Japanese maples, really adds to the sophistication of the garden.
Yeah, I've seen a few places titling this as the Black Princess Japanese Maple, and that's a little bit playing with words a little bit. Kuro is a black-red color, and so it's kind of like Black-Red Princess whenever it comes to the landscaping garden because of that purple color that you get on that new growth in the summer, shining over top of that blue-green is just next level when it comes to a dwarf. Easy to put in the landscape, easy to put in a container. This is a tree that stands out with its really small leaves, its dense compact habit, and its upright form. It makes an easy tree to use in any garden.
All right, your neighbor's looking over the fence. They're shaking their head. They're just disappointed in you right now. What's the 4th best tree right now to make them just jealous, to make them green with envy, that they're going to look over and they're going to be like, I ain't got that.
Well, guys, we're bringing number 4 to Lilian's Jewel. This is a flashy, showy, upright red Japanese maple with pink variegation, and it's a cherry red. It's heat tolerant. It's beautiful. It gives you that red upright feel in the landscape that you have with the typical red upright. But this thing's going to be about 6 to 8 foot in 10 years with a nice semi-pendulous sort of graceful habit to it. Stands out and gives you some extra flair in that garden to elevate your collection.
Named by our friend Jonathan Savage when he worked for his grandfather, Del Laux at Del's Japanese Maples. Really a cool tree. This one, it's just so next level. This one is so next level. That's the best pink on red variegated Japanese maple I've ever seen. It's going to be one of those trees that is transformative in that it's electric. Like this one, you can't miss it in the early spring. If you walk into a garden and this one's in there, it's going to steal the show. So you have to put this one a little bit more in a focal point area because it's going to demand a lot of attention. Typically 6 foot in a 10-year span, small, dense, but that pink on red coloration is very striking. Now, if you have this in more shade, it's going to be a little bit more green and white. If you have this in a little bit more morning sun, it's going to be more neon pink on dark red. And I think it's one of the more dynamic color patterns. It's definitely going to elevate your collection, especially if you're someone who has more basic Japanese maples. This is one that's going to kind of draw the interest up and kind of bring more drama to the garden.
Now, when you're planting Lilian's Jewel out there in the landscape and garden, plant it somewhere you're going to be walking by frequently because you can really enjoy the variegation on this. Typically in a landscape, you want to use like fall color as a backdrop, but you want to have something that's got variegation where you can appreciate the leaves more up close, like Lilian's Jewel, and that'll really make your garden shine. Y'all, Lilian's Jewel, an amazing plant. If you've seen some people marketing Extravaganza or Lil Annie's Jewel, those are both incorrect names. The correct name is Lilian's Jewel, and it is one of the most showy and flashy, beautiful red Japanese maple that adds a lot of class and sophistication while still having that extra flair.
All right, we're all the way up to number 3. You've made some friends in the maple community. You know, each of you have 30, 40 trees. You got to one up the next guy, right? You're trying to own them a little bit here. They're like, hey, I got this. You're like, guess what I got? This next tree to elevate your collection, Acer Palmatum Strawberry Spring.
That is an amazing selection. It's one of the newer selections by Talon Buckle. So it's part of, after he quit doing the Ghost series, Matt and I sort of coined it the New Ghost because they had similar characteristics to the Ghost series with that reticulated variegation, but they didn't have that Ghost name. And Strawberry Spring gives you a baby pink in that early spring that is just outstanding.
Lovely coloration. One of the New Ghosts by Talon Buckholtz. Really just an exciting tree. I think it's one of the more pale pinks that really shows out. That reticulated foliage is beautiful. Typically around 7 foot in a 10-year span. Multi-stemmed, beautiful, smaller deciduous tree. Excellent tree. Now, this was actually a seedling from Amber Ghost, so it shares some of the good qualities you like about Amber Ghost as far as structure, growth rate, a lot of great qualities going on there with a whole new shade. So this one's very unique in that coloration. I think it's so next level. I think it's a great tree to elevate. You know, a lot of Japanese maple gardens are going to have some dynamic greens and reds, but they're not going to have these kind of pinks like this, the kind of pinks this can bring to the garden.
This shade of pink is unique for reticulated styles of any of the Japanese maples. We've got a full cultivar breakdown in Oregon. You should go check that out. You can sort of see the spring color on Strawberry Spring. After that baby pink, though, it goes to a really nice shade of cream with lime green reticulated veins. Outstanding, even in that time frame. It is an outstanding, uniquely colored Japanese maple. When Guy Malo saw this tree, he said that it was one of Talon's best introductions, along with another one that he'd ever seen. And Talon's got a list of almost 100 different varieties of Japanese maples. And to say that is pretty big claims. And I would agree with him. It is one of Talon's best selections because it has a unique color pattern we've never seen before. And it's a great way to elevate your collection.
Hey, coming in here all the way up to number 2. You know, you need to do this. You need to get some of these trees before your family has an intervention for you. You might not know it. There might be a gardening intervention. They might be gathering right now to tell you, Mom, we love you, but your garden's boring. And so this is a way to avoid that. You can get ahead of that shame that your kids have and how boring your garden is by adding a celebration.
Celebration. That is actually the other one that Guy Malo said was one of Talon's best introductions that I mentioned a minute ago.
The strawberry being the soft pink, this was more the electric pink.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pink red that you don't find, again, in any Japanese maple collection and any Japanese maple cultivar. I mean, with 1,500 different varieties of Japanese maples and to be able to see this color that is unique, that stands out. I mean, this is groundbreaking. The color here is dynamic in the early spring and summer. It is one of the most intensely colored trees out there. And if people thinking about a traditional red upright, guys, that pink red out there stands way more than your typical maroon.
I love Celebration for its summer coloration. You get this, intense, almost like intense magnified up, more of like that, like 80s. You think of like 80s pink. You think of like the wild pinks. That one's kind of in that category. It's got that crazy color to it. It's more of an elevated neon pink. Really next level, especially on the new growth in the summer. You can get some greener, older growth, that bright pink, typically around 6 foot, even in 10 years. Beautiful, small, upright, part of that New Ghost series as well by Talon Buckholtz. Really next level. And I feel like this one's one that can take your collection, from something. Say you have some more basics. There's nothing wrong with the basics. We talk about some of our favorite basics too, but this is definitely one that's going to elevate your collection to like that next level, especially if you're a maple collector.
I agree. I mean, you put this out there in any collection, it stands on its own, but then gives you some dynamic colors throughout the season. It's going to make your garden rock. It's going to make your collection sort of tie together. And it's one of those trees that has phenomenal reticulated variegation. So those veins really stand out. You get a darker red color there, and then that pink red across the rest of the leaf. It's one of those trees that you'd love to go photograph in the spring because it's so intense. It seems unreal. You see this tree out there and you think it's one of those trees that's photoshopped, but it's actually really that color. And that's the exciting thing about these Japanese maples is they're going to make your garden just be the envy of all your neighbors, but they're really going to up and amp up your collection.
Hey, we're all the way up to number one. And whether you like it or not, gardening is a competitive sport. And I believe it was the great gardener Ricky Bobby said, if you're not first, you're last. And if you don't have these trees, you might be coming in last because somebody might have all 5 of these in their collection. You can win the competitive sport of gardening. You can say, I don't look at gardening that way. I'm not competitive. Well, your neighbor's winning then. You're losing. They're winning. They're looking at you and they're going, they ain't got it. I'm killing it right now. What's the number one tree, Tim, to elevate your Japanese maple collection?
Guys, I'm going with Acer palmatum Golden Falls. This is a weeping, cascading, Ryusen-like Japanese maple. It's one of the most heavily cascading forms of any selection, but this has some really nice yellow color. Now, in the springtime when it leaves out, you get a little bit of orange red around each and every leaf. I know Matt's described it before as like a weeping katsura in the spring because it has those same leaf colors. But in the summer, you get a yellow weeper out there in the landscape to give you that weeping habit that everybody loves, but that yellow color that just brings the whole garden together, makes you see every shade of green, red, contrasted with the blues out there in the garden. Y'all, Golden Falls, next level Japanese maple to elevate your collection.
As the Big Lebowski once said, that Golden Falls really pulls the yard together. Beautiful tree, guys. I love it. Underrated. Like Golden Falls, for all that it is, and we sell a ton of them every year. I mean, it's so next level. This one is super next level. A little more heat tolerant than some of the other yellows. You can put this out in the landscape, stake it up. It's very malleable, so you can really put this anywhere you're going to put Ryusen, and you can get some yellow colorations. Like Tim mentioned, Katsura-like colors in the spring. Katsura is known for being one of the best spring interest trees, and now we have it in a weeping form, so it's amazing for that. I love that orangey border too. It's a little something extra. Great red fall colors to the oranges sometimes. Typically, I get a bold red on this one late. Just extravagant. I mean, it's a tree. It can't be understated enough that you can shape this one into your own design. So you can make this a serpentine. You can make it a low spreading tree. You can grow it over an arbor. You can place this one in a container and have it weep down lower than the container. Even a topsy-turvy. There's a million different ways to grow this one.
Ground cover.
Yeah, and so there's a million different ways to kind of experiment and make this one your own in the garden. And for that reason, it had to be one of the top trees on the ways to elevate your garden because you can really get creative. You can grow this one more as like an espalier. I've seen tons of different things done with this style Japanese maple, and I think Golden Falls really can elevate your maple collection to the next level. And it's one of those trees, if you haven't seen it yet, like the first time you see this one, people are like, that's really something extra.
And if you haven't checked out our video on how to make a hanging basket with Japanese maples, go do that. There's just a really fun thing where we go and talk about hanging baskets with different unique selections. Golden Falls is one of those trees that makes an excellent hanging basket for your garden. Y'all, it has that yellow color even late in the season. Katsura, it goes to like a green yellow midsummer. Golden Falls gets more yellow in the summer. And so it's just so spectacular in the landscape and garden. You compare this with any other Japanese maple, but if you put this collection of trees, these top 5 that we've put together here in your garden, you're going to have a spectacular colors of pinks, baby pinks, pink reds, weeping yellows, that compact, just like Kuro-hime awesomeness, and then the flare that you get off of Lilian's Jewel. You got a top 5 right there that's going to elevate and make your garden pretty spectacular.
Hey, it's a competitive sport. You can take these 5 trees and you can go from being Rudolph, where they wouldn't let you play in the games, to you're leading the way now. You're out front. You're shining. Everybody's digging it. It's the number one garden in the neighborhood, and everybody knows it because these 5 trees have elevated your gardening. You've really made it, a collection that's a little more next level. You're on that next level of collector. These 5 trees can do it.
Y'all, thanks for jumping in today. If you have not subscribed here on the Mr. Maple Show, we'd really appreciate if you hit subscribe. We put out daily content about Japanese maples and gardening. And if you love this type of content, we'd appreciate if you supported us by shopping with us on MrMaple.com.
Take care.
God bless.
Have you a great day.